What is up, guys? It is your LOL support here, and today we're going to be bringing you guys a video on how to take objectives and the concept behind objectives and the priorities in which you need to do these. Now, a lot of times what happens in League of Legends, especially you see this in like lower ranks, like, you know, bronze, silver, even some gold, but it's not something that platinum and higher are not excluded from. It's just typically people up by that ranks, they're understanding objectives a little bit better than lower people, because I make this comparison a lot. I feel like a lot of bronze, silver players are people that come from like Halo or Call of Duty, where, you know, killing is everything, when in League, killing is not everything. League is objective. Leagues are, you know, it's more complicated than just kills. Not to say that kills aren't important, but the game does not revolve around kills. A team can be behind in kills, but be ahead in objectives, and they would still be having a close game. So kills are not everything. So I wanted to bring you guys my tutorial on how to take objectives and how to win more games through objectives. So I went ahead and drew up a list. Okay, so there's two types of things that I'm going to be going over. I'm going to be going over the laning objective chart tree, or the laning objective tree chart. There we go. This is more in relation to the early game. And then the mid-late game priority list is the priority list of the late game. Okay? Now, there are different phases because you're going to have chances to do objectives in the late game that you wouldn't in the early. And I assume early game is before the 20-minute mark, roughly. Okay, so let's go over the laning objectives. Okay? Now, I know this is kind of complicated. It looks a little difficult to understand, but I'll explain it to you. Okay? So the first question you need to ask yourselves is, did we land a kill or send someone to base? Now, if you answered yes, here is your next question. If you answered no, here is your course of action. Okay? So say you say no. Okay? Either, and I'm referring to the top lane with this instance, but I'm going to give you guys another instance where you could answer no even though you technically did kill somebody. Okay? So, no in the top lane is if they have a TP and either A, you don't know the timing on the TP, or B, you know for sure the TP is up, okay? So you need to keep an eye on how and where they TP. If they TP to a ward, that's going to be the full cooldown. If they TP to a turret, then it's going to be the 4-minute cooldown. So you have to keep these things in mind. If you see them TP to a turret, make sure that you calculate that teleport, okay? So if they don't have TP up, you might as well, it's the same as answering yes, okay? But if they have TP up, then you can't do it. Another instance is in the very early game with bot lane. You can land a kill on bot lane, but you still don't have a chance of taking dragon unless you have a very dominant jungler who excels at early game dragons. So, in most cases, I'm assuming that you're not going to play every game with like a Warwick or like a Fiddlesticks or some jungler along those lines. In that case, you'll answer no until your jungler is ready to take dragons. If your jungler is not ready to take dragons, then you just assume no, you push, and then you base. Okay? So, was it the jungler? Yes. Okay, so if you answered yes, what lane was this in? If you answered no, you're going to push and damage turret. Okay? The reason why, if you kill your lane but you did not kill the jungler, you want to push and damage turret is because by pushing and damaging the turret, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be drawing the enemy jungler to come over to your lane and stop you from pushing, okay? Or you guys get a free objective. It's one or the other. So basically you're taking two people out of the map, okay? So the junglers excel at being hidden, right? You can't see the jungler, you never know where the jungler is, you just have to make educated guesses and lane accordingly, right? So, by killing someone in lane, you take them off the map. So that's a given, right? Kill someone in top lane, take them off the map. Kill someone in mid lane, take them off the map. It's just how it is, right? But, if you can push and damage turret and draw a hidden jungler into vision, he is no longer effective. And your lanes are relieved of pressure because the enemy jungler is now in your lane. He is out of his element. He does not have surprise anymore on any of the other lanes. So therefore, you've taken two people out of their effective positions. Okay? Your laner cannot roam, jungle cannot kill or gank either. So by pushing and damaging turret, you'll get 2 people, or you'll get 1 person and an objective. So it's kind of like a chess terminology, forking somebody. So if your king is here, your queen is here, and I have a rook right here, or I'm sorry, if your king is here and your queen is here and my rook is here, you have to move the king and I kill your queen, or you can move your queen and I just end the game. You know what I mean? You're forcing them to do a decision where either outcome is still bad. And that's what you want to do, and that's what you accomplish by pushing and damaging turret, assuming that you haven't killed the jungler. Okay? I wanted to explain that because some people don't understand why, and I want to get that all out there. Okay? So assuming you did kill the jungler, what lane was it in? Okay? If you're in the top lane, here is your new list. And if you're in the mid and bot lane, here is your list. Okay? So let's go into the mid and bot lane first, since it's less options, I guess, in a way. So mid and bot lane, the reason this is different is because assuming it's the early game, it could be anywhere from, you know, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 17 minutes. The likelihood of you guys having early Baron power in top lane is going to be very limited. Typically, early Baron teams are teams that have a strong Baroning ADC and a strong Baroning top laner. But since it's still the early game, technically, laning phase, a little bit, you're not going to have all that assistance. So you might not be able to take Baron in as many instances. Again, like I said, there are rare instances where you can. But I would rather appeal to the 98% chance of it being applicable to you than the 2%, you know? I wouldn't want to make a guide on the 2% chance that your team can do an early Baron and say, hey, fucking go for it. I can't do that, you know? I need to make it applicable to most people. So, I'm assuming that you have no Baron power early game, okay? That's why top is different than mid and bot. Okay, so you killed the jungler. What lane was this in? If it was in mid and bot lane, your next question is, can you dragon? If you can, do it. If not, push and damage turrets, same as up here, right? Or same as right here. Again, you're trying to take 2 people out of the equation. Or not 2 people out of the equation. Because you killed the jungler, you're pushing to the turret with 3 people. Or, you know, 2, depending on if you successfully countered a gank by yourselves, or if you countered a gank with your jungler. But either way, damaging turret in that instance is going to be the best course of action. Assuming that you've won a fight, most people on the other team are low health, or else they would have killed you. So, damaging a turret is your solution. If you can dragon, do it. Because the enemy jungler is dead, so technically, assuming that your jungler still has his smite up, you guys have almost a guaranteed free dragon. Because the enemy jungler can't respond with a smite. Unless you go against a team that has a mid lane Cho'Gath. I do it sometimes just to cheese, but sometimes, you know, like I said, I can't appeal to that 2% of the time. You know, I know there's not a hell of a lot of mid lane Cho'Gaths out there. Another exception might be bot lane Nunu support or Nunu mid. Again, I don't really see those often, but they can contest dragons in a bit. In which case, still go ahead and do it if you're confident. Okay? So, that is the course of action for mid and bot lane. Oh, I'm sorry, mid and bot lane. If you are in the top lane, however, your course of actions are a little bit different. Your next question is, so, did you land a kill? Yes. Was it the jungler? Yes. What lane was this in? Top. Okay. So, are you ahead of your laner? Or laner. Where is it? No. Okay. Are you ahead of your laner? If yes, you want to push and proxy. Now, for people who don't know what proxying is proxying is intercepting the next minion wave incoming towards your lane before they get to your minion wave. So what you're doing is you're making it so that your minions have no interruption and go straight to the turret. The reason you proxy, in this instance, while your jungler counter jungles, is because the enemy jungler is dead. You don't have to worry about him, right? So your jungler has free reign to go into the jungle and counter jungle, however he wants, right? He can take buffs, he can take minions, whatever, right? The reason why proxying and counter jungling are going to work hand in hand is because if the enemy laner, say you didn't kill the enemy laner, but he's low and he's hanging out under turret, and you're proxying, right? It forces him to stay under that turret or lose minions and lose turret damage. He has to stay, okay? So what you're doing is you're pinning him to that objective. So say he's 25% health, right? You are 75% health. Your jungler's 75% health, right? You guys are hanging out there in the jungle and in the proxy position, and that guy who's 25% health can't do anything. He's forced to either just CS and let you get full experience, let you get full minions, gold and experience, and he has a slight chance of missing gold with the turret shots, right? You can do that, or you can base. Basing would be an incredibly stupid decision that I don't think any people, like most people, won't make. Okay? And say he stays, and the enemy jungler comes back to try and fight you guys. Well, he's 25% health. What's he gonna do? You know, you land two skills, or like maybe one skill rotation. He's done. He's dead. You don't have to worry about it. The enemy jungler, yes, he's going to be full health. He's going to be a base advantage over your ally jungler, but he has one base over your jungler, but you have essentially one more person. So you're handling a 2v1 in the jungle. So assuming that the jungler goes back into his jungle, finds your jungler, you rotate and help him out. If the enemy jungler comes back to your lane while you proxy, your jungler rotates to help you. So there's no way one of you guys are going to be worsened by this decision unless the mid laner comes, in which case it's the mid laner's job to either follow or push turrets. Again, they're choosing the best of a worst scenario, you know? It's like pick your poison type deal. And that's why you push and proxy while your jungler counter jungles, okay? So I hope I explained that adequately. If I didn't, feel free to leave a comment and I'll answer your questions. So assuming that you are not ahead of your laner, you want to push and damage to the turrets to end the laning phase. The reason you want to do this is if you're not ahead of your laner and they're just going to keep zoning you, you want to end the laning phase as early as possible and start roaming and taking other objectives to enter the mid-late game as soon as possible. Because why spend time in a lane where you're going to get bullied and you're going to get zoned out of experience when you can go and take other objectives and then do the same thing to other lanes as you had done to you in your lane, you know? So if I'm... who's a really weak laner? Say if I'm a Rammus top, right? And I'm going against a Quinn top, right? And Quinn's just beating the hell out of me, right? I want to end the laning phase as a Rammus and push our vision line up into the enemy jungle, and then roam down to mid lane, take mid turret, and free up mid, and then I'll return back to my lane and farm. Because what mid lane turret being open does is it puts pressure on both bot and top, because you have that extended vision line, right, of getting mid turrets. That's why everyone puts priority on mid lane, because mid lane opens up a wide range of vision in the enemy jungle, whereas a opposite lane turret won't free up as much vision. Okay, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I think I have a vision video out, but if I don't, comment, say you couldn't find it, and I'll make one for you guys. Okay, so that's why you want to push and damage turrets to end laning phase. Okay, so you've survived the laning phase because of this awesome objective tree chart. So you're gonna be like, hey, low support helped. Okay, you are now in the mid to late game, and you are now doing things. You're doing things, right? The game's getting to that point where it is League of Legends, like iconic team fights, everything, right? So here's your priority list. Say you have a team fight. Team fight breaks out. You guys are up 2-0, right? They are backing off. Here's your priority list right here. Okay, is the Nexus free to take? If it is, take it. Win the game. Why push it out, you know? Why not take a 25-minute game when you could have, you know, or why make a game 45 minutes when you could have taken it at 25 to 30 minutes, you know? So, number one objective, Nexus. Pretty self-explanatory. Next objective is Nexus turrets, because Nexus turrets are very influential against the other team, okay? So, if 2 people spawn and 3.5 people are pushing Nexus turrets, right? You're going to be a little bit inclined not to go if they're shoving down your Nexus turrets and not giving an F about whether you spawned or not, right? It's going to be damaging to their confidence to come in and take that, or try and fight you guys off of that objective. So even if they could have fought you, they can mentally be deterred from it by you taking the Nexus turrets. And also, if you take Nexus turrets but you can't end the game, it's still an open Nexus. You know what I mean? So Nexus turrets are next in line. The reason why inhibitors are next on this list is because inhibitors, assuming that it's not protected by an inhib turret, okay? Those are different things. I'm talking open inhibitors. Let me actually type that in here. Open inhibs, okay? The reason why open inhibs are high on the list is because if you can take an inhib, you never have to touch that lane, and it will always push, okay? That's like having an extra man on your team, okay? And that's why I say open inhibitors come next on the list, because they can pressure the map for other objectives, like other turrets, a Baron or a Dragon or whatever, assuming you got bot side turret or bot side inhib. Regardless of what side you're on, it puts pressure so that they can't contest Barons as easily, okay? And the reason I don't want to say inhibs with a turret up is because it's kind of hard to gauge. Some people don't know their limits with how fast they can push down a turret and then how quickly they can transition into getting Barons. Because a lot of teams, what they try and do is they try and push an inhib, by pushing through a turret and pushing an inhib. But sometimes the minion wave doesn't get there and they're not necessarily in a position to tank. So they're wasting time, okay? So if you see a turret and you see an inhib, and it's questionable whether you'll get the inhib because you have to wait for the minion wave, F it and just go for Baron, okay? Because by waiting for that minion wave, you're losing valuable time in which you could be taking objectives. It's inefficient to wait for the minion wave, okay? So you can still push the next minion wave. So say minions in the mid lane, you get a kill, you rush down mid lane, you proxy the next wave, then go for your Baron. That's fine. Just don't wait for your minion wave to catch up and then hit the turret so that you guys can take turrets and in-hit, okay? Because what often happens is people do that, and then they think, okay, let's go Baron now, and then that's where Baron throws happen, is because the whole enemy team has spawned, they're one base ahead of you guys, and probably healthier than you guys, while you're fighting Baron, and you're losing health. Like, that's how Baron throws happen, okay? Poorly timed Barons when the objective wasn't there, okay? So that's why I say open inhibs over Baron. Okay, next on the list, Baron. The Baron buff is so valuable to a team that you can't overlook it. It's gold value, it's experience gain, or experience gain for you guys. And the buff, increased regens, extra damage, it's just too strong of a buff. You can end a team fight with a Baron buff and not have to base, and you guys will go back up in health pretty quickly. So, Baron buff is very valuable. Dragons over turrets. Now the reason I say that is because turrets, although put pressure on the map, turrets will always be there. Dragons will not. Dragons have a wait time for you to get the next one. That's why I say dragons over turrets, if the dragon opportunity is there. Not only does dragons scale into the late game as far as gold values are concerned, but turrets... Okay, let me phrase it this way. A team that takes 6 turrets, right? Or, that's a little drastic. Let's say a team that takes the outer ring, so they take 3 turrets, right? They have a set amount of turret gold, okay? Those turrets will never respawn. They will not come back up. Once you've gotten that gold, that's it. You're not gaining any more gold from those turrets. Correct. Now, the enemy team, while that team was taking 3 turrets, took 2 dragons. Okay? Those 2 dragons are non-consistent variables, okay? They will come up and they will fall. They will come up and they will fall, but they will continue to respawn. It is a fountain of gold, an endless source of gold, if you will. Assuming that you have to wait also. But the team that took 2 dragons is technically has a stronger chance of being ahead, because they still can take those 3 turrets, right? Those turrets are still there for them to pick up. They just haven't picked it up yet. So, it's very easy for a team that's down 3 turrets but up 2 dragons to equalize the gold amount once they take those 3 and even be ahead in gold. Does that make sense? Like, I really hope that that gets across to you guys. If not, leave a comment. I'll try and explain it more in depth. But basically, Dragons will always be spewing out more gold. It's just a matter of if you take it. Turrets are a one-time deal. So if the enemy team takes 3 turrets and you guys take 3 turrets, you're even. But if they take 3 turrets, meanwhile you were taking 2 dragons, then you take 3 turrets, well, now you're up 2 dragons in gold, and you're even in objectives as far as turrets are concerned. So that's why I placed dragons over turrets. Next, obviously, is going to be turrets, because turrets are going to put map pressure. They're going to release vision. They're going to relinquish enemy control of their own jungle. Meaning you can take their buffs, you can take camps, you can ward up, you can know the enemy's movements, and therefore you can use that vision granted here to get later dragons and barons, assuming that you're going to ward objectively. And warding objectively is a whole nother topic that I'll get into in another video probably. But in a nutshell, what it is not spamming, 3 wards per person times 5. So that's 15, plus another 5 in pink wards. So that's the difference of having 20 wards on the map and just having general vision. And it's like, oh, that's nice, but that's a lot of wasting money. Or having 4 wards, but placed around where your team is focusing their efforts in at that current time. If your team is focusing on pushing bot lane, what's the point of having top lane warded? You know, I mean, it might tell you the jungler's top, but it's not very pertinent to what you're doing. That's what I mean by official warding. Okay, and next is kills. Kills comes after turrets because kills, again, they're low valued variables. Yeah, they're just low value variables. You know, you don't know, someone could be on a killing spree. Obviously, if they're on a killing spree, make an effort to kill them. If they're not, then don't worry about it. Get an objective. It's going to do you better in the long run. And then after kills are buffs. Now, 7 and 8 can be reversed, or, you know, they can be, 7 can be 8 and 8 can be 7, regard, you know what I mean. But the reason I say that is because if somebody is worth low value as far as kills are concerned, or as far as gold is concerned, it's not really worth chasing them for 30 seconds. Like, it's not worth chasing a 0-7 Udyr when you could just take his buffs instead. Now, the cool thing about this late game priority list, and I'm really excited to show you guys because I hope that you guys can enjoy this because this is cool. Okay, now I'm going to just simply do all this, and what I'm doing is I'm showing you that this list works in a mirror image. So by doing these objectives in the order that I told you guys, you know, it's more efficient, it's better for you. But by taking lower objectives on the list, or by taking the highest up objective you can, it will open up the higher valued one on the list. So I know I did a terrible job at explaining that. So let's say your team just got Baron. Baron is going to help you take inhibs, which will help you take Nexus turrets, which will help you take the Nexus and win. So your team gets some turrets, puts a little bit of map, or your team gets turrets, right? They can't really get any of these, but they get turrets, right? Turrets create map pressure and create vision control. Vision control can help lead to Dragon and Baron security. Dragon and Baron security can help to take open inhibs, or take inhibs for your team. By taking those inhibs, you can create base pressure, and you can eventually pressure on the Nexus turrets. After you pressure the Nexus turrets, you can deter them from fighting you, and you can take the Nexus and win. Okay? So, regardless of where you have to start on this list, eventually it will mirror and equate to more objectives, right? So, that's the kind of cool thing I wanted to show you guys. But, I really hope that you guys understand this. Again, this is something that not a huge amount of people pay focus to. A lot of people pay focus to, like, how can I play my champion better? But you have to understand the game a little bit better. And once you do understand it and get it to this degree, I promise you that your gameplay is going to go up and your win rate is going to go up, and all of that is kind of just hand in hand. So guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, if I missed anything, or if you guys want me to elaborate on anything, feel free to post a comment in the comment section down below, and I will be sure to answer every single comment. I always do, and I really pride myself in doing that. I really like reaching out and talking to you guys and answering all your questions. and helping you guys improve as League of Legends players. Okay? So, without anything else to say on this topic, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys on Monday. So, without anything else to say, this has been your LOL support, and I am out of here.